Hi, everyone. I'm Steve Adubato. You're going to see, unless you see already, so that's Michele Siekerka, President and CEO of the New Jersey Business and Industry Association. We are doing a program all about women in leadership. First of all, welcome, Michele.
Nice to see you again, Steve.
As always, we'll put up the website of NJBIA, but tell everyone about the 7th annual forum that took place on women in business at BIA.
Well, it was extraordinary. We kicked off the 7th annual Women Business Leaders Forum live, which for many women was the first time they came out. Actually, women and men. We had a lot of men there that evening as well. Wonderful reception, great way to trigger some momentum for what was then a 2-day set of panels and keynotes and TED Talks with some extremely dynamic women who shared some inspiring stories, but at the same time shared some hardcore leadership skill building tips.
Michele, again, we've heard so many. We have 2 of the people who participated. I believe Joetta, who joins us, and also Carrie Barrett, right?
Correct, yeah.
Carrie's terrific, and so is Joetta. You had so many people come in to make a difference for the women who were there. Describe some of the most significant challenges facing women in business at the end of 2021 going into 2022.
Well, let's talk about right now that this is an unprecedented time when it comes to our workforce, the hiring crisis, and the disparate impact it's had on women. You know, people say, why do we still have to do these types of programs for women? Well, let me say that COVID has had an extremely disparate impact on working women, and particularly those childbearing. We had 1.8 million women across the entire nation leave the workforce last year. 1 out of 4, okay? Many because of childcare issues. You know, if you don't have a safe place to put your child, you can't get back to work. Steve, you know, we have the lowest labor participation rate by women right now in over 3 decades. And if women were in the labor force to the extent that men were today, our GDP would be 5% more.
So stay on this for a second, because you talk about some of these challenges. And by the way, the Business and Industry Association, NJBIA, has been focused on this. Michele's been with us in so many different situations. She's also joined us to talk leadership, which I'm going to talk about in a second. So this is what hits me as you talk about the pressures and the stress disproportionately falling on women in the workplace and business, et cetera. Here's the question. Mental health, work-life balance. I mean, seriously? How the heck, what are you supposed to spin plates and throw balls up in the air? And I mean,
especially over the last year when you were, you know, your children were being taught from home. And yet again, they had to be overseen and supervised. Oftentimes, the way the education was taking place, a parent had to assist the child, especially young children, with technology, not just helping with homework, like when they came home after school. And then because online learning really truncated the school day, you had kids without something to do for many hours in the day that now the parents were the educators, they were also the friends, and you know, they were the play dates, and all of that while we as employers invaded their home while they were living at work. Some call it working from home, but guess what? Many of them are living at work, and we're in their homes, their private space.
So talk about this. You know, Michele and I have done so many leadership seminars together. We talk about this all the time. So when it comes to wellness, and I've been focusing on it a lot in my leadership coaching, and the reason is this. I don't see how you can separate work, your work life and your home life anymore, and COVID has only laid that bare even more. How do you, on a very personal level, create a sense of, even if it's not balanced, but a sense of work-life integration and wellness that works for you, that would be helpful to other women watching?
Yeah, let me tell you, it's taken me a long time, and it's a lot of discipline. And you know, I have forced myself to be disciplined in my actions. And so, you know, I get up in the morning and I make sure I get out and I get my exercise to really juice up my brain before I tether myself to the computer for 12 hours at a minimum, okay? I'll tell you that I committed to my husband of leaving the home office during COVID at 6:30 every evening because—
Do you really?
With a minor exception, and now we know the world is opening, we're out at events, we're back hybrid, you know, I'm out and about, right? But throughout COVID and still to this day, you know, shut down that home office and spend time with your significant others. You need that connectivity. right? When the weekend comes, I make sure now I always have a book to read. I've done more reading in the last few years than I did in the first 30 years of my profession, okay? And not just self-help books, because my reading was always like, oh, I should be reading in order to improve myself professionally. Okay, yes, I've learned how to read for pleasure as well. And I usually have one of each at the same time.
I'm sorry, read for what?
For pleasure. And I'll tell you one more thing, Steve. In the middle of COVID, seriously, there was a point in time I said to my husband, I refuse to be the only person alive who did not binge watch something through COVID, because that's what I thought was happening.
And by the way, everyone should be binge watching public broadcasting. I'm sorry, but I'm going to say this.
That was my go-to.
There it is. And by the way, NJBIA is one of our media partners, and we collaborate with them on a whole range of things. Michele, before I let you go, the two women that we're about to see, Joetta and Kerry Barrett, why are they, again, people watch segments individually, but those two women, why are they so significant, particularly with the conference that you held, the forum?
Well, let me say that Kerry brought an extraordinary experience of a woman in media and how she was coming up, and how she had to create her own discipline and address and lean into the challenges, and then realize at one point, you know what? I'm just going to do something else, because I've tried my best here. And for myself, I'm now going to go and take all my professionalism that I learned and put it to another energy. Joetta, you know, oh my gosh, right? An athlete who you
An
think,
Olympian.
okay, yeah, she's fantastic. And she had her leadership garden that she talks about, right? And she talks about, you know, reaching above the knot. And how, you know, when you reach above, you also reach back. And she talks about a strong mind has to do with a strong body and a strong will. And those things all go together. And if we don't pay more attention to our strong bodies, to have our strong minds and our strong will, we're not going to make it. We're just not going to make it.
Well said. That's Michele Siekerka, President and CEO of the New Jersey Business and Industry Association. This program dedicated to women in leadership, women in business. Michele, thank you, my friend.
Always a pleasure, Steve. Be well.
Same here. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation. Funding has been provided by Atlantic Health System, Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, IBEW Local 102, the New Jersey Economic Development Authority, Prudential Financial, Choose New Jersey, Summit Health, and by Johnson & Johnson. Promotional support provided by New Jersey Globe and by ROINJ,